Hi, I'm Jim Etzel. Welcome to Earth is Our Home. Today we're going to take a look at soils as a home and not just dirt. And why is this important? Well, we're moving into their home when we garden or grow, no matter what we're doing, whether it's large-scale farming, forest, fields, a 30 by 40 garden plot, your yard. We are stepping into their home and affecting it in negative and positive ways. And if we're going to get along with nature, we need to start asking that why question of why are we doing tillage, and how destructive is it to their home? As people, when our home is intact, and today it's 4 below, and I have a wood stove and a roof over my head, and I have running water and a place to relieve myself, my home is functioning. But if a tornado rolls into the neighborhood and destroys my house and sends my shed into the lake, my life's not too harmonious anymore. And so we really need to be thinking of, we're going into their home, how can we be harmonious as possible so that we're a welcome guest rather than an intruder that's destroying their home. And three things that we're going to look at today that can be very destructive to the soil life's home is tillage, chemicals, and bare soil. And to start with tillage, unless you have a major correction that's needed, if the soil is as hard as concrete, we're going to have to do something to break things up, get water back into the system, get air back into the system, and then use plants along with some mechanical measure to break that hard pan up. But if you don't have that, if you've got a broad fork and you can step on that and it goes 12 inches in the ground, there is no reason to do any kind of tillage. There's your indicator. My soil is working pretty good. I have good soil structure. There's nothing you really need to do except put your plants in the ground, whether it's transplants, dig a hole, put your amendments in, or sharpen a stick and poke holes in the ground, pop your seeds in, and cover it up. Ripping the whole soil system up with a rototiller or a plow or a disc and flipping it upside down. Even some of the videos I see with the broad forks, they're flipping the whole thing upside down, and you don't have to do that. If you have a compaction issue, a little tug back on the handles just to lift it a bit and crack things open so we get water, root penetration, air penetration into the soil. That's all we're looking to do. We don't have to flip their house upside down. Things that are affected when we do that is earthworms. They can't see. They're relying on these channels to be there, and when we flip their whole system upside down, it causes chaos in their world. And when we're rototilling all of that material into the soil, it's home or it's hiding places for insects. So we're disrupting another aspect of cover for these creatures that live there. So tillage is something I believe we really don't have to do. The photo here of the gal with the broad fork and the big deep-rooted plant, that's all you need. She's not a bodybuilder. From what I understand, she's a commercial grower out east and uses the Treadlight broad fork. And I like this picture because it does not take somebody who can bench press 500 pounds to operate a broad fork. It's a very simple tool. It's an effective tool that if you have a compaction issue, a broad fork will work just fine. And the plants, that plant there is a jackhammer, and it's got to be a 3-foot root on it. So why not use a broad fork And plants or a yeoman plow, if you've got larger acreage that you need to remedy some compaction issues. But when it comes down to it, plants do the job. We don't need to disrupt their home with tillage to be effective. So what else do we destroy when we apply tillage? Soil structure, the mycorrhizal fungi network, organic matter, as I mentioned before, the earthworm channels, habitats for insects. So tillage really is not necessary once we get the system up and rolling. And if you're going to start a brand new garden in your yard, put a fence around your grass and start growing things. Scalp the grass, mulch it with grass clippings or plants or wood chips, and just plant into it. You don't need to tear all the grass out. You don't need to grind it all up. You can just put plants in and away you go. It's really no different than planting a tree in your yard. You don't rip up the whole yard to plant 5 trees in your yard. You dig a hole, you put the tree in, you put mulch around it, you put your amendments on, you water it, and you're done. So an annual garden, they're just smaller plants. Same concept. So tillage, as minimal disturbance as possible. And I like the Treadlite Broad Fork because it's designed by folks that garden, and he's a fabricator, so he really put some thought into designing this thing so it's easy to use and it's going to last 25, 30 years if you take care of it right. So chemicals, insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides, just in their very sense, if we're looking at soil as a home and not just dirt, insecticides kill insects, herbicides kill plants, fungicides kill fungus. They all live in the soil and make it function well. So just get rid of them. We have to learn how to do this without these chemicals, and we can do it. We're supposed to be the smart ones on the planet. If you take them out of the equation and you take tillage out of the equation and just say minimal soil disturbance and no chemicals, how are we going to do it? That's how we figured things out. Not keep the training wheels on, because you don't learn to ride a bicycle with 4 wheels. That's a 4-wheeler. To learn to ride a bicycle, you need to take the training wheels off. And it's time to take the training wheels off and get rid of the chemicals, get rid of the excessive soil disturbance in the form of tillage, and this bare soil thing. The best way that I tell people to really relate to this is bare soil is like you going out on the hottest day of the year, getting completely naked, and then putting a black plastic garbage bag over yourself and standing out there from sun up to sundown. Now, if you make it till noon at 105 degrees and 90% humidity, I'd be really surprised. You will understand what bare soil goes through. The black plastic bag is going to attract heat, and you're going to overheat and get heat exhaustion. And the soil kind of does the same thing. Its protection is crusting. If you don't cover the soil with as many plants as you can or mulch it, the soil will crust to try and protect itself. So why, if we know it's going to crust and then it can't breathe very well and water can't get into it, why not just alleviate that problem and put as many plants as you can in there? Cover the soil with plants, because a living root system is what feeds this system. And we'll talk about that later in another video, specifically about food for this system. Now we're just focusing on their home. And bare soil, everything in that whole system is going to function better if they have shade, if they got water in the form of evapotranspiration from the plants. And if you're not going to plant your plants that close together, mulch. Mulch, mulch, mulch. Pine needles work wonderful. Everybody says you can't use them in your garden. Yeah, you can. We're not mixing them in anymore. Leave them on the surface. Ground up leaves, grass clippings, wood chips. I've found that wood shavings can, like sawdust, can almost crust like the soil and act as a water repellent rather than letting the water soak in. So wood chips, anything to cover that soil up is going to be beneficial, and protect the home. Okay. As we saw earlier in the video about the tornado tearing the house apart, and I'll show it again here, it's very destructive and disruptive when this happens to people. When we rototill and use these deadly chemicals, they're not only deadly for the soil system, they're deadly for us. So to me, that's just a no-brainer. Get rid of them. We don't want to get sick. And if the soil system isn't functioning, we're not going to get healthy, nutritious plants to eat. And bare soil, I don't want to tell anybody to go out in a field and get naked and put a black plastic garbage bag on, because they'll probably get in trouble. But you would understand what it feels like to bake in the sun in that situation. You'll now know what it's like for the soil life. As a big person, I handle the heat fairly well, but at 105 degrees, 106 degrees, it's surface temperature on the soil when it's bare. These little tiny microorganisms are really going to feel the heat and suffer from it. So let's just skip that. Bare soil is not something we need when we're growing in a garden or anywhere for that matter. So those three things I think are so vitally important in protecting the home. It's not just dirt. It's home to many different things. And if we're going to walk into this system and be part of it as a welcome guest rather than a terrorist, we need to practice no tillage or minimal soil disturbance, no chemicals, and cover the soil up. With that, the success will be better, everybody involved will be happier, and we'll sequester carbon, we'll clean water, the insect world will come back instead of be destroyed. It's a win-win-win no matter what we do. So remember, tillage, do as little as possible. Minimal soil disturbance. Chemicals, just get rid of them. We'll figure this out together. Bare soil, just remember, July, naked, garbage bag, frying in the sun. If it's not comfortable for you, it's not comfortable for them. So let's keep them comfortable and happy and welcome us into their system. So with that, I think I got everything I wanted to cover. Want to give a big shout out to the National Association of Conservation Districts, Cass County, Minnesota's Soil and Water Conservation District, for supporting these videos through a grant and support from the SHIP program in Minnesota. Simon Whitehead, thank you, Simon. He's an amazing guy, and he's helped a lot with the community gardens here in Cass County in north central Minnesota. And the SHIP program has been a great support. So thank you for watching. If you like it, hit like, subscribe, give me comments, what you like to hear. And always remember, from the first video I did, start with why. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Earth is Our Home. Bye-bye.